Hello and welcome back to another journey video. It's been quite a long time since I last did one of these journey videos. Today is Thursday the 2nd of September 2021 and I am on my way down to Fully Charged Outside down in Farnborough. It is a long old journey from here to there. Let's have a quick look on a better route planner and see what it's estimating as the distance. 282 miles. So it's a fair old journey. I've currently got 100% in the battery, which is estimating me 149 miles. Okay, so we're going to be doing a bit of an unusual charging strategy today. I'm going to use a better route planner, and I've plugged in to the settings that I want to arrive at no charger with less than 40% in the battery, and that I want to charge no higher than 95%. This is from Lemon Tea Leaf's strategy a couple of years ago, where he figured that the lowest temperature increase was when he did a charge from 40% up to 95%. So using that 55% range of the battery, it had the lowest amount of heat increase during the charge session. So hopefully, between this and obviously the previous rapidgate fixes and things like that, we will see hopefully minimum rapidgate impact. Now obviously it's September, it's not the coldest part of the year here in the UK. We're currently at 9:54 AM and it's 15 degrees outside. It's looking a bit grey and overcast, but I'm going to be travelling most of the length of England, so we probably see some variation in the weather over the course of the journey. Obviously I'll keep you posted as to what sort of weather we're seeing. You'll probably see it at various charges. Now by doing this charge strategy, what it means is we're not going to be charging for very long, but we're going to be doing lots of charges. So over the 282 mile journey, a better route planner has predicted 8 charges for me, and they're all about 15 minutes, 11 minutes, 17 minutes. Most of them about 15 minutes seems to be about the average, just scrolling through here. And it reckons we'll arrive at our destination with 50% battery. So it'll be interesting to see how things are with the shorter charge stops. I may also need some additional time to actually eat some lunch. So there may be a couple of these where I actually stop for a little bit longer than the prescribed time to make sure that I can actually feed myself. But that will actually potentially help the battery cool down a bit, because the car will be sat there off charger, cooling down while I'm, I guess, in one of the service stations finding something to eat. Yeah, so it could be interesting. I'd like to have a bit of an infographic at the top of the screen like I've done in some of my previous videos, but in previous videos I've forgotten some of the stats, so I've printed out one of the last videos, and hopefully this means that I'll remember to do all the stats. To also make it a bit easier, I'm going to try and remember to video the screen and kind of intersperse clips of that as well, so hopefully I remember to do that also. So bear with me just a second. Now, I'm going to read out the points on this charger. So I'm going to read out the points on the charge plan as they stand at the moment. Now, this could well change. I've got one called the High Street Car Park, which is a Genie point. I've got Holiday Inn Doncaster, which is a BP Pulse. Little Castle Pub, which is an Osprey. Donington M1 Services, which is obviously GridServe now. Elms Pub and Restaurant, which is Osprey. Newport Pagnell Services, which is again going to be GridServe, Harvester Flamstead, which is going to be a BP Pulse, and the Runnymede, which is apparently also a BP Pulse. Now, we may find over the course of the journey that this changes. A better route planner likes to kind of reconfigure things as you go. I have got a better route planner premium, but I found that the CarPlay navigation is kind of awful. So what I'll probably do is just set Apple Maps directions to each of the stops and just refer back to PlugShare as I go. I don't have a live, sorry, not PlugShare, a better route planner. I don't have Leafs by feeding into this because it isn't easy to set up and I don't have the patience for that. So if there are any substantial differences from what I'm seeing here, I will kind of recalibrate this route in a better route planner. I'll kind of let you know what we're seeing there. So, in order to get the car ready, I charged on my 7 kilowatt pod point at home. I didn't use the vehicle to grid unit because I wanted to make sure that nothing was kind of siphoned off the battery before doing this long journey. And also the vehicle to grid unit doesn't really like going beyond 95%. So the pod point, we just made sure we got all the way up to 100%. Okay, so if we have a look at the state of the car, we are at 100% battery. We've got 149 miles in the battery. We are 1 notch below the center point, so that would be 5 out of 12 in terms of charging bars. Yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Now I'm also going to stop that recording and we'll go have a quick look at Leaf Spy as well, so we can get a more accurate reading from the sensors. I'm just going to turn the car back onto accessory mode because it just switched off. Obviously I can't have it switched on while I'm here because I'm recording and I'm on my phone, so just in accessory mode for the moment. Okay, so again, I'll take a screenshot of this, but Leaf Spy says that the maximum battery temperature right now is 18.1 degrees Celsius. Right, so I think we're good to go. I'm going to stop chatting into this camera for a minute, and we'll get our first destination plugged in. In terms of journey duration, we're expecting 5 hours 52 minutes of driving and 1 hour 58 minutes across 8 charges. So it's about 10 AM now, and it's assuming we'll get there probably about 10 to 6. Okay, so first stop is going to be High Street Car Park in Boston Spa in Leeds, which is an NG rapid charger. Okay, so time for the first leg of the journey. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so we've just arrived in Boston Spa near Wetherby. We're at the High Street Car Park. It's an NG unit. I've used this before. I've actually registered my Polar card as an RFID because the website's a little bit unreliable and the mobile signal's not great here. The reason I'm using this rather than Wetherby services is that because of the GridServe refresh of chargers across the Ecotricity network, there's now only a single CHAdeMO at Wetherby services, whereas there used to be 3, which is not ideal, at least not for me. For CCS drives it's great because you've got 5 chargers there, but you know, that's just the way things are going. So I'm going to get plugged in, but before I do, let's have a quick recap of the stats so we know where we are. I'll also film this on here. Okay, so drive computer stats. It's 11:06, we've arrived. Averaged 4 miles per kilowatt hour. We've driven 48.7 miles in 54 minutes with an average speed of 53 miles per hour. Right, in terms of battery state, we're at 60%. We are still at 5 out of 12 on the heat gauge. And let's have a quick look at Leaf Spy and see what the actual temperature reading is from there. I'm just going to give it a second to cycle around and fully refresh. Okay, so that's showing a battery temperature of 24.5, and I'm going to take a screenshot of that now. I'll get plugged in and I'll give you a quick update on the stats from when we're plugged in. Okay, so we started a charge. Now, how long do we want to stay here? Let's quickly go back to a better route planner. Okay, so a better route planner says that we want to be plugged in for 14 minutes and just get up to 74%. It reckoned we'd arrive here with 49%, but we actually arrived with 63%, so we're actually not going to stay anywhere near as long as it seems to think we were going to. So we've actually done quite well in terms of efficiency to get here. Clearly, a better route planner was being more pessimistic than it needed to be. So we might find we're doing a lot less charging today than originally anticipated. Let's find out. Right, so either way, it's saying we want to unplug at about 74%. We're at 64% now. It almost seems pointless to stop, but yeah, we'll carry on. We'll try and resume what it says here. Before I get too carried away, 63%. It's just ticked up to 64%. So yeah, 64%. We're at 5 out of 12 on the battery charge gauge, and the Leaf Spy temperature is, once it loads, 25.8 degrees Celsius, and I'll just take a screenshot of that as well. The charge speed we're pulling from this unit is 43 kilowatts, which is obviously starting to be in the ramp down phase because we're, we're at 65% already. So yeah, we're going to be here in no time. It reckons 10 minutes to 80%. So I mean, to get to 74%, we're probably only going to be here about maybe 8 minutes. Let's see. Right, I'll catch up with you in a minute. Okay, so it is 11:18 and we are at 74% in the battery, so I'm just about to stop the charge. We are at 6 out of 12 in terms of battery temperature now. Let's go have a quick look at the Leaf Spy temperatures. Okay, so battery temperature is 28.1 degrees Celsius. It literally just changes as I was saying that there. Right, time to go stop the charge and unplug. Okay, right, that was quick and easy. These NG points are actually quite nice. They're the same system as Genie Point, which is, yeah, the website's okay. The fact you can fall back to an RFID card's great as well. Price is about 40p per kilowatt hour at the Genie Point ones. However, the NG ones in West Yorkshire, at least for August, were free. It might be charging now. I think the rate is, yeah, pretty much industry standard, 40p per kilowatt hour. Okay, right, so we've unplugged, 75% in the battery. We're still at 6 out of 12 on the on-screen battery indicator. And the Leaf Spy, I'm just going to let this cycle round. Leaf Spy is saying a battery temperature of 28.0 degrees. So our next stop is Holiday Inn Doncaster, and that is a BP Pulse. So let's get that plugged in and we'll get on our way, and I will see you there. Okay, so we've arrived at Holiday Inn Doncaster. There's a Polar charger here, but it is out of service. Seems to be a bit of a recurring theme. I think the last 5, possibly 6 attempts I've made over the last few weeks to use a Polar charger, not a single one has worked. So let's find an alternate charger nearby. Okay, so we're going to have a slight change of plans. I'm going to tell a better route plan to just ignore the BP Pulse network entirely, which may help avoid issues like this for the rest of the journey. Okay, right, so I've reconfigured this to avoid charging at BP Pulse chargers. Okay, so it's found a charger about 10 minutes away from here, so we're going to redirect to White Rose Retail Centre, which is an Osprey unit. Right, so we'll get on there and I'll see you once we arrive there. Okay, right, so plan B after removing Polar, we are at an Osprey at White Rose Retail Park, or Retail Centre, or whatever it is. There's an Osprey unit just there. It looks like it takes contactless payment, which is fantastic, but I've got an app which makes that cheaper. So 47% in the battery. We've averaged 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and we've traveled 35.2 miles with an average speed of 44. Right, so battery conditions, we're at 6 out of 12 on the temperature gauge, which according to Leaf Spy works out at 29.3 degrees. Right, I'm going to get plugged in and we'll see where we are in just a moment. And we're charging. So we've got a charge speed of 44 kilowatts. We are at 49% and we are still at 6 out of 12 on the battery scale. And according to Leaf Spy, the battery temperature is currently 30.1 degrees. So we're starting to get up there. We're still in that kind of middle sweet spot at the moment, but I imagine as the day goes on, that's going to go up and up. Outside temperature is currently 18 degrees. You can see it's a little bit sunnier here than when we left Middlesbrough this morning. So the other thing I'm going to have a look at quickly is what charge percentage we want to disconnect at, because I imagine that has all changed now as a result of the stripping Polar out of the plans. So it wants me to stop at 65%, so it thinks it's going to be a very short charge. Then the next charger is also going to be an Osprey, so it looks like, yeah, we've got Osprey, Grid Serve, Osprey, Grid Serve, Shell Recharge, and Aligo, which is also another Shell Recharge. So yeah, I think we've got a decent plan ahead of us. Let's see how well this works. So I'll speak to you in a bit when we unplug at 65%. Okay, so we're just at the end of that charging session pretty much. We've got 65% in the battery. We're still at 6 out of 12 on the temperature gauge. So let's see what Leaf Spy has to say. Leaf Spy says our battery temperature is currently 35.8 degrees. Now we just ticked into 66% charge, so I'm going to stop that charging session. I'm going to quickly finish my my lunch and then we'll get going. Right, so I'll record the temperature just before I leave, because I'm going to be about another couple of minutes just while I finish eating. Right, so I will talk to you in just a minute. Okay, right, so we've just unplugged. I'm still at 6 out of 12 on the battery gauge, 66% in the battery. Obviously that won't have changed because we stopped the charge session already. So Leaf Spy says we're currently at 35.0 degrees. So our next stop is Little Castle Pub and Restaurant. So let's find out where that's in Chesterfield. So we'll plug that into Apple Maps and we'll get on our way. Yeah, so estimates we'll get there about 1 o'clock. So I'll plug this into Apple Maps and we'll get on our way. See you in a bit. Okay, so a better route plan I thought we'd get here was 40%. We've actually arrived at 46%, which is better than expected. Maybe a better route plan is a little bit pessimistic. We averaged 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. Both of the Osprey chargers at the pub were in use. However, right next door, literally I can see the other chargers from here. Right next door, there's a KFC and there's 2 Instavolt chargers right here. Instavolt chargers work great, so we'll just plug in here instead. Right, so we'll just have a quick look at the stats, make sure we've got everything covered. So let's get the camera going. Okay, yeah, 3.8 miles, 23.1 miles traveled in 26 minutes, averaging 52 miles per hour. 46% in the battery, 67 miles left on the GOM. Let's have a look at the battery state. So we're now at 7 out of 12 on the temperature gauge. And according to Leaf Spy, that means we are at 35.4 degrees, 35.3 degrees. Okay, so we'll get plugged in and then we will have another quick recap. Okay, and we're away and we're charging. Now, interestingly, that charger says 125 kilowatts shared. There's 2 Instavolts posts there, so I don't know if that means they're shared between the posts or if it means it can charge CCS and CHAdeMO at the same time. If you know, leave a comment down below because I'd love to find out. Right, so let's have another quick recap of battery temperature. So battery temperature on screen, it just in those few moments has dropped to 6 out of 12 bars. And we are pulling a charge rate of 39 kilowatts at the moment. So let's have a quick look at Leaf Spy and see what that says about battery temperature. That says we're at 35.6 degrees. Okay, so let's find out how long a better route planner wants us to stay here, or more importantly, what charge percentage it wants us to disconnect at. Okay, so it wants us to unplug at 73%. So yeah, we'll do that. Right, I'll see you when we unplug. Okay, right, so we are just about to unplug. We're at 75%. It's 1:19 p.m. Okay, so we're about to unplug. We're a little bit beyond where we wanted. We're at 77%. We are at 8 out of 12 on the battery gauge, which is not ideal. According to Leaf Spy, our battery temperature right now is 42.7 degrees, so we're really starting to get up there as far as temperature goes. Anyway, I'm going to unplug before it gets any hotter, and then we will look at our next leg of the journey. Okay, right, we are unplugged, so let's have a look. Battery temperature according to Leaf Spy is 42.9 degrees. Well, I'll tell you what, let's figure out routing first. Okay, so our next stop is Donington Park Services. It reckons we'll get there at about 2:15. In terms of battery temperature, yes, still on 8 out of 12 bars. I think that's not going to fall anytime soon. We are at 42.6 degrees. So yeah, I will quickly mention, because I forgot to mention earlier in the video, how I'm going to be driving today. I've been driving at 70 miles an hour indicated, which is in this car near on identical to real world speed. So yeah, 70 miles an hour with eco off, e-pedal off, but with ProPilot on. So ProPilot has been doing most of the motorway driving. And as we know, ProPilot is a little bit heavy-footed with the acceleration and the regen. So that will obviously be contributing to some of the battery temperature rise. I'm not driving at 60 for this trip, I am driving at 70. Anyway, right, so I'm going to get on to the next stop, and I'll see you at Donington Services. See you in a bit. Okay, so it is 2:01 p.m. and we've just arrived at Donington Services. So let's have a quick look at the stats on the computer. We've travelled 32.4 miles at an average speed of 51 miles per hour, and our efficiency is 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour. We've got 52% in the battery, and we are 8 out of 12 bars on the battery gauge. According to Leaf Spy, our current battery temperature is, I'm just going to give it a second just to roll round, we have lost some temperature, which is good. We're now down to 41.2 degrees. So let's go and plug in to this electricity charger, which is a new ABB unit. That's one of the new GridServe ones. Right, I'm going to go plug in and we'll see what rate of charge we get. Okay, so the nice thing about these new GridServe electric highway chargers is that they can charge 2 cars at once. So this, as you can probably see there's a BMW i3 using the CCS port, and I'm able to pull on the CHAdeMO connector at the same time. So let's turn the car back on, see what rate of charge we're pulling. Okay, so the car's a little bit confused. It says 5.4 kilowatts. I'm not convinced that's accurate. I'm going to check Leaf Spy, because that seems bonkers. Leaf Spy actually agrees that we're only pulling 5.5 kilowatts. So this is a bit weird. It's only giving 5.5 kilowatts on the CHAdeMO port with an estimated time to 80% of 105 minutes. I am 99% certain this is not a car problem, but it's instead a charger problem. Because if we have a look at battery temperature, we're at 8 out of 12, and you know, it's definitely not a rapidgate issue. I'm going to stop the charge and start it again, just to see if it's like gotten confused somewhere in the handshake process. If the problem persists, we might go find another charger instead, because this is unusably slow. Anyway, we'll go try plugging in again, see what happens. Okay, so that is really weird. Once again, we are pulling about 5 kilowatts off a rapid charge post. That is absolutely crazy. So yeah, let's just film that so you can see what's going on. It says 46 minutes, but of course it's going to take much longer at 5.5 kilowatts. So yeah, that's weird. I'm going to pop in and use the toilets, and then I think we're going to go find another charger. Okay, right, slight change of plan. We didn't bother even getting a slow charge on that unit. The i3 was also struggling to get a decent rate of charge as well, so it definitely appeared to be a faulty unit. So I don't think it's a problem with the car. We've got 53% in the battery. A better route planner is suggesting that we go to a nearby McDonald's, because there's an Instavolt charger there, so we'll go do that. Battery temperature is currently at 7 out of 12. According to Leaf Spy, that means we are looking at a temperature of 40.4 degrees. So swings and roundabouts, we lost a bit of temperature as a result of that. So it's not all bad. So I am going to head over to that McDonald's. We'll get plugged in over there, and then we'll try and charge over there instead. Not a successful day for charging so far. Hopefully our luck improves as the journey continues. Anyway, let's get going, and I'll catch up with you once we get to McDonald's. Okay, so after the problem at Donington services, we're now at McDonald's in Loughborough, an Instavolt charger. We've averaged 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. I'll gloss over the rest of the stats because they're kind of screwed up by the fact we stopped at Donington services for a bit. I will go into the battery status though, because that's still important. 48% in the battery, and we're 8 out of 12 on the temperature gauge. Now, if we have a look at Leaf Spy, I'm just going to give it a second to roll around. We've got a temperature of 40.2. I believe 40.1 is a tipping point to actually lose a notch. 40.4, there you go. Well, we'll just plug in as we are. So let's go get plugged in and get charging. Okay, that's the car sounding like it's happy, and I'll just make sure that ramps up a little bit. There we go. We're getting a much more sensible rate of charge now than we got at Donington. So we are... Battery temperature actually dropped to 7 out of... Right, okay. Leaf Spy is telling me 40.2. If we go back to the camera, I'll show you what I'm looking at here. So battery temperature is now 7 out of 12, which means we're pulling a slightly faster charge rate. And the charge speed we're pulling right now is 40 kilowatts. So yeah, a fair way into the journey, and we're still pulling 40 kilowatts from a charger. So I think that's not too shabby. For this car anyway. Okay, so yeah, I think that will do for now. Let's see what a better route planner says for the amount of charge we're going to want here. Okay, so it wants us to get up to 68%, which it reckons we'll do in about 10 minutes. So yeah, we will crack on with that. Right, I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, right, we are at 68%. Let's get a camera up so I can show you. So even at 69%, we're still pulling 40 kilowatts, so we're getting decent speeds from these Instavolt chargers. So yeah, have to say that about them. We are currently at 9 out of 12 on the temperature gauge. That's the downside of pulling fast charge speeds, is that we do incur a penalty in terms of temperature. But let's see what Leaf Spy is saying about actual temperatures. So Leaf Spy is telling us, I'll just give it a second to fully refresh, 46.7 degrees. So that is pretty warm on the temperature front. Anyway, we're going to unplug because we've already got to 70, so I'm going to need to stop this quick, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so that's us unplugged. We're at 70% state of charge, 9 out of 12 on the temperature gauge on screen. And let's have a look at Leaf Spy, which is telling us 46.6 degrees. So yeah, bit toasty, but that's where we are. Okay, right, so a better route planner is taking us to Elms Pub and Restaurant, which is in Lutterworth. It reckons we'll get there with 42%. So let's go and plan that in. Okay, right, we should be there in about half an hour. So let's get going. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, right, so we've arrived at the Elms in Lutterworth. We have got 47% in the battery, and a better route planner thought we would have 42%. So again, it does seem to be a little bit pessimistic for the Leaf, but that's good because it means we're not constantly getting disappointed by being late, basically. Okay, so stats on screen, 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. We've driven 26.9 miles with an average speed of 50 miles an hour. Battery condition, we're at 47% state of charge, and we are at 9 out of 12 on the battery temperature scale. So let's have a quick look at Leaf Spy and see what that translates into. Leaf Spy has given us a reading of 44.7 degrees. So let's get plugged in. This is an Osprey charger, so it should be nice and straightforward. We'll get plugged in and we'll see what rate of charge we pull. Okay, right, we are plugged in. Battery temperature is now at 8 out of 12, so we've lost a little bit of temperature there. We are pulling a charge rate of 32 kilowatts, so we are starting to see a speed drop. I wonder if the temperature dropped just after we plugged in. Either way, we need to get up to 74%, which according to a better route planner should take us about 15 minutes. Now, let's have a quick look at the temperature in Leaf Spy. According to Leaf Spy, the temperature is 44.7. So anyway, we're going to leave this until we get up to 74%, which shouldn't take too long, and then we'll move on to the next charger. Right, I'll be back when it's time to unplug. Okay, so we're at 75%. Battery temperature is 9 out of 12 bars. We'll just have a quick look at Leaf Spy and see what that's reporting. Leaf Spy tells us our current temperature is 50.1, and we have literally, just while I've been talking, tipped over to 10 out of 12 bars. So I'll just quickly capture that. So yeah, we have just tipped over into 10 out of 12 bars. So I'm going to stop the charge now, and we'll get on our way to our next stop, which is Newport Pagnell. Okay, so we've unplugged and we're still at 10 out of 12 bars. We've got 76% in the battery. Let's have a quick look at Leaf Spy and see what the temperature is there. 49.9 degrees C. Okay, so our next stop is Newport Pagnell Services. It expects we'll get there at 4:30 with 40% of the battery. We'll probably get there about that time, but probably with a little bit more in the battery. Okay, so that's the route plugged in. Let's get on our way and I'll talk to you when we get there. See you in a bit. Right, okay, so we've just arrived at Newport Pagnell Services. We've just been plugged in by the ever so helpful EV Nick. Yeah, we've got the last journey, there's been roadwork, so we've been capped at 60 miles an hour. So we've actually got a huge 4.6 miles per kilowatt hour, which is fantastic. Average speed 57 miles an hour. It makes me think, on the way home, let's do the same thing, but we'll do it at 60 just to see how that helps keep the temperature down. Anyway, let's go across to the battery status. We're at 51% state of charge. We are at 9 out of 12 on the bars there, and Leaf Spy says current battery temperature is 47.1 degrees. So it's come down a little bit thanks to the slower driving. So yeah, maybe 60 plus this combination of stopping is the way forward. Okay, so we're charging and we're pulling 36 kilowatts. I'm going to go in and grab some food, and I will see you in just a bit. Okay, so a little bit late to unplug this time. We have got 83% in the battery. We are at 10 out of 12 on the battery bars, which is not great, but it's about where we were last time, so I imagine that to probably stick around this level. As long as you don't dip into the reds too much, hopefully we'll be all right. So let's have a quick look at Leaf Spy. Okay, so Leaf Spy is telling us that the battery temperature is 51.4 degrees, 51.3 degrees, it's just dropped. So warm, definitely warm. Just want to make sure we stay out of that red. Hopefully the lower speed limits for these road works will help us lose a bit more on that temperature. Right, so next stop according to ABRP is a Shell recharge on Watford Road near St Albans. So yeah, let's head down to there and we'll do our next leg of the journey. See you in a bit. Right, okay, we are a Shell garage just outside St Albans. We have arrived with, okay, so we've averaged 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. We've travelled 33.6 miles. The battery temperature is 10 bars out of 12. And according to Leaf Spy, our temperature is 49.4 degrees. So I'm going to go and plug in and we'll see what rate of charge we get. See you in a moment. Okay, so we're plugged in. Let's see what sort of charge speeds we're getting. Okay, so we're pulling 24 kilowatts. We're at 58% state of charge. And we are at 9 out of 12 on the battery gauge. According to Leaf Spy, that is 49.1 degrees. A better route planner says that we need to be charging up just to 64%. It expected us to be all the way down at 63%. Okay, so as we're at the end of the journey, I'm actually going to make this our last charge, and I'm going to charge up to 83%, which should get us to our destination with 50%. I'm going to sit here for a little bit, we'll get some juice, and I will speak to you when it's time to unplug at 83%. Talk to you in a bit. Okay, so we're at 82% charge. We are going to just run this all the way to Farnborough, and we should arrive with maybe 45-50% in the battery, something like that. We're still pulling 24 kilowatts even at 80%, and so that's quite good to see that hasn't ramped off yet. The battery temperature is still 10 out of 12, so we have done this without touching the red at all, which is actually quite surprising. I wasn't 100% sure whether this would work, but it's good to see that it has. So anyway, I'm going to go unplug, and we'll do one. Oh, I'll quickly do the battery temperature on Leaf Spy. Battery temperature according to Leaf Spy is 52 degrees, a little bit toasty, but yeah, we'll get unplugged and we'll get on our way, and I'll give you a quick update on the temperatures. Okay, right, so we are unplugged, still at 10 out of 12 bars on there, and 52 degrees according to Leaf Spy. So right, let's get on our way and do the last leg of this journey. I'll see you when we get to Farnborough. Okay, and we've arrived at the hotel in Farnborough. So we've got 4.6 miles per kilowatt hour on that last regular journey, traveled 43 miles. If we have a look at the battery, we've got 53% state of charge. So we're still at 10 out of 12 on the temperature gauge, which means we managed to do the entire journey without dipping into the red. On the way back, I'm going to do the same thing, but at 60 miles an hour, and we'll see if we can keep it a little bit further away from that first red marker, which is where we're sat at the moment. We're just below it, so we're not into the red yet, but we're just brushing up against it. Let's also just have a quick look at what Leaf Spy is saying in terms of temperature. 49.4 degrees, which is quite warm, but not in the red, which is the most important thing. So overall a success. 3 problem charges along the way, but one of them was easily solved because there was another one across the road, and the other issues were solved by just not using BP Pulse. I'm going to go in and let's go do fully charged outside. I've missed this. It's been ages. It's been absolutely ages. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone and having a good old catch up. If you have watched the video this far, thanks for sticking with it. I know it's probably been a long video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. At least 80% of you who watch these videos don't actually subscribe to the channel, so if I can get a few more of you clicking subscribe, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.